From reckless mercy to straight-up disastrous leadership calls, these are the dumbest Rick Grimes decisions, including sparing Negan and trusting the wrong people at the worst possible time. Number 10. Trusting the CDC too easily. After everything Rick and the group went through in Season 1, finding the CDC felt like a miracle. Rick immediately leans into that hope, trusting Jenner without much resistance.
You claustrophobic?
A little.
Try not to think about it.
And yeah, you can understand why. They were exhausted, desperate, and clinging to anything that resembled safety. But the problem? Rick doesn't question it enough. He lets everyone settle in, drop their guard, and believe this could be the end of their nightmare.
Vi, bring up the lights in the big room.
Then comes the reveal. No cure, no future, just a self-destructing facility.
Where is everybody? The other doctors, the staff.
What makes this a dumb decision isn't just the outcome. It's how quickly Rick abandons caution. Early on, this showed a flaw that would come back again and again. Trusting too fast when hope appears.
Booyah!
It ranks low because it's early Rick, inexperienced, still learning the world. But that kind of thinking leads to way worse mistakes later. And if that was naive, the next decision proves Rick didn't learn as fast as he should have. Number 9. Letting Randall Culver live. After the group encounters Randall, a kid connected to a hostile group, Rick makes a call that immediately splits everyone. Instead of dealing with the threat, he decides to keep Randall alive. On the surface, it feels like Rick holding on to his humanity, not executing someone in cold blood, trying to be better than the world around him. But this decision nearly tears the group apart.
Sick of everybody arguing and fighting. I didn't ask for this. You can't ask us to decide something like this.
Randall knows where the farm is. He's tied to dangerous people, and keeping him alive creates paranoia, arguments, and ultimately chaos inside the group itself. Fans were screaming at their screens during this, because this wasn't mercy. This was hesitation in a world that punishes hesitation instantly. What makes it worse is that Rick already knew how dangerous people could be by this point. It ranks here because it's one of the first times Rick's leadership actually puts the group at risk internally.
We haven't come up with a single viable option yet. I wish we could.
So let's work on it.
But somehow, his next decision shows he still hadn't figured it out. And trust me, this next one is where things start getting really frustrating. Number 8. Trusting the governor.
So you're the governor?
That's their term, not mine.
When Rick first sits down face to face with the governor, you can feel the tension instantly. This is a man who has already shown how dangerous he is. Manipulative, violent, completely unpredictable. And yet, Rick entertains negotiation. He actually considers a deal, splitting the prison, coexisting.
You have responsibility to them.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't Merle your lieutenant?
On paper, it sounds like leadership, avoiding unnecessary bloodshed. But the reality? This was never a situation you could negotiate your way out of. The governor was never going to honor anything.
I told you I'm their leader.
You're the town drunk who knocked over my fence and ripped up my yard.
Fans saw it immediately. You don't sit across from someone like that and expect peace. And deep down, Rick knew it too, which makes this decision even worse. Because while Rick hesitates, the governor prepares. What makes this hit is the false hope. For a moment, it feels like maybe things won't explode, but that illusion just makes the inevitable attack even more devastating. It ranks here because Rick corrects course eventually, but the hesitation cost them time and leverage. And somehow, his next move proves he can still make even riskier calls. And this one, It doesn't just risk the group, it changes everything. Number 7. Banishing Carol Pelletier. At the prison, things are already fragile. Sickness spreading, supplies running low, tension everywhere. Then Rick finds out Carol killed 2 infected people to stop the outbreak. And instead of bringing it to the group, he makes a solo decision. He exiles her. No discussion, no vote. Just drops her off and drives away. Now look, Rick was trying to enforce order. He didn't want the group turning on itself. But this was one of the most short-sighted calls he ever made. Because Carol wasn't a liability. She was becoming one of their strongest survivors. Fans were shocked, not just by the decision, but by how final it felt. Rick cuts off someone who would later prove absolutely essential. And the worst part? He does it alone, breaking his own leadership structure. It ranks here because Rick eventually realizes how wrong he was. But by then, the damage is done. And if that felt like a bad call, the next one shows Rick putting way too much faith in someone who absolutely didn't deserve it. And, yeah, this one backfires hard. Number 6, trusting Jadis. When Rick runs into Jadis and the scavengers, everything about them screams red flag. The way they talk, the way they live, the way they negotiate. Nothing about it feels stable or trustworthy.
What you fight for?
Not the place, the people.
And yet, Rick makes a deal with them. He brings them into the fight against Negan, gives them weapons, and fully commits to relying on them in a war that could decide everything. On paper, it's a numbers game. More fighters, more strength. But Rick ignores the most important rule he's learned. People like this don't stay loyal. And sure enough, they betray him. Right when it matters most.
You believe us now? Just tell us what you want.
Fans saw this coming from a mile away. It wasn't shocking. It was frustrating. Because Rick wasn't desperate here. He was overconfident. This decision nearly cost them everything in the war. It ranks higher because the stakes are massive now. This isn't just survival, it's leadership at scale. If some of the decisions you were expecting haven't shown up yet, don't worry, because the top half of this list is where things get even more intense. And if you're a fan of The Walking Dead, make sure you're subscribed, because the next ones change everything. And yeah, from here on out, every decision hits harder.
Number 5, sparing Negan.
After everything, Glenn, Abraham, the war, the suffering, Rick finally has Negan beaten. This is the moment fans had been waiting for.
Save him.
And then, he spares him.
No! Maggie! No, he can't! No! No, he killed Glenn!
Rick chooses to keep Negan alive, locking him up instead of ending it right there. Now, thematically, this is powerful. It's Rick choosing civilization over revenge, proving they're better. But in reality, it's one of his most controversial decisions ever. Because this wasn't just any enemy. This was Negan, a man responsible for unimaginable brutality. Fans were divided instantly. Some respected the message. Others couldn't believe Rick would risk everything for an idea. And the tension that decision creates lingers for seasons. It ranks here because while it pays off in some ways, it also opens the door to future danger. But if you thought that was a gamble, the next decision shows Rick trusting someone who had already proven they couldn't be trusted. And yeah, this one feels even worse in hindsight. Number 4, trusting Dwight too soon. When Dwight turns on the Saviors and offers to help Rick, it feels like a turning point, an inside man, a huge advantage. But here's the problem. This is Dwight. A man who burned people alive, betrayed Daryl, and spent seasons proving he couldn't be trusted. And Rick buys it. He lets Dwight feed them intel, shape their plans, and influence major decisions during the war. Now, to be fair, it does help at times, but it also leads them straight into traps, including one of the most dangerous ambushes they face. Fans were constantly on edge with this one. Every time Dwight spoke, it felt like it could flip at any second.
Because I want it stopped. I want Negan dead.
What makes this decision so frustrating is that Rick had already been burned by people like this before. It ranks this high because the stakes are massive. One wrong call here could have ended everything. And now, we're entering the top 3. These next moments didn't just put the group at risk. They completely changed the course of the show. And the next one, fans still argue about it to this day. Number 3, ignoring the threat of the Whisperers early. When Rick's group first starts hearing about walkers acting differently, there are warning signs everywhere. Strange behavior, unusual movement patterns, something feels off. But the group, and Rick's leadership culture at the time, doesn't treat it like an immediate, urgent threat. And that hesitation costs them. Because the Whisperers weren't just another group. They completely redefined what danger looked like in this world.
I'm Alpha. And we only want one.
What makes this decision hit so hard is that it's not one single moment. It's a pattern. A slow underestimation of something that was quietly becoming one of the most terrifying forces they'd ever face. Fans still look back at this and think, if they had taken it seriously earlier, could things have gone differently? It ranks this high because the consequences are massive and long-lasting. And now, we're down to the final 2. These decisions didn't just change outcomes, they changed Rick himself. And the next one? It's one of the most debated choices he ever made. Number 2, attacking the Savior's outpost first. At this point, Rick's group is riding high. They've survived so much, built Alexandria, and for once, they feel in control.
Then comes the deal with Hilltop. Take out a Savior outpost in exchange for supplies.
And Rick agrees. No hesitation.
We don't know if they have an armory, or where it even is.
He leads a preemptive strike, wiping out people in their sleep. Now, here's why this is such a massive mistake. Rick had no idea what he was stepping into. He thought this was the whole threat, but it was just a fraction. This decision is what truly introduces them to Negan. And everything that follows, Glenn, Abraham, the war, it all traces back to this moment. Fans still debate this. Was it justified? Maybe. But was it smart? Not even close. This wasn't survival. This was overconfidence. It ranks this high because it directly leads to some of the darkest consequences in the entire series.
The hell?
And now, number 1. This isn't just Rick's dumbest decision. This is the one fans still argue about to this day. Number 1, letting Shane Walsh spiral for too long. From the moment Shane starts changing, the signs are everywhere. His aggression, his obsession with Lori.
No, I love you. No, you're drunk. No, you're drunk. I know. Here's the thing is, I know that you love me too, because there's no way that you could.
His willingness to cross lines Rick won't. And Rick sees it. He knows something's wrong. But he waits. Instead of dealing with Shane early, when the tension first starts boiling, Rick keeps trying to reason with him.
On in the other direction, man. All right, wait. Just stop. Hey.
Keeps hoping he'll come back to who he used to be. And that hesitation turns into a ticking time bomb. Because by the time Rick finally acts, it's too late. It leads to one of the most intense confrontations in the entire series. A moment where Rick is forced to kill his best friend just to survive. This changed everything. Fans still talk about this because it wasn't just a bad decision. It was personal, emotional, human. Rick wasn't being a leader here. He was being a friend. And in this world, that hesitation almost got him killed. It takes the #1 spot because it defines Rick's evolution. The moment he realizes what kind of world this really is. And honestly, every decision after this carries that weight. These were the dumbest Rick Grimes decisions. Which one stood out to you the most? Did we miss any moment? Comment it below. We might include it in the next video. Make sure to subscribe for more Walking Dead content like this. Click here to watch our last video on the dumbest moment in the Walking Dead history. It's just as crazy.